I hope you all are having a good evening and enjoying this event. Mayor Malik, who knew that all of those years ago that we would be here on the stage while I get to ask you a lot of tough questions?
They said that we wanted to have a Q&A portion of the event, and so I thought, you know, if I need someone to ask me hard questions, Brownland's the go-to person. Why should today be any different?
Well, this time, the audience has been kind enough to share a lot of really great questions, so I'm honored to speak on their behalf.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, you've done a lot over your last 100 days. Is there something that you believe that you failed at, or you haven't gotten as far as you hoped?
So, you know, I said during the speech, I'm very clear, the police chief search process has been the most difficult. And we've tried to approach it as it comes, trying to engage with the law department, trying to make sure we had all the facts and information as kind of it was being delivered to us, and then to get it out and share it with the community as quickly as possible. And that's what we've done. I'm not saying it's been perfect. I'm not saying that I wouldn't completely change how we've done it if I could go back and know what I know now. But I'm being as open and honest with you about what my best judgment is about the way that we can move forward, given what I know and what I think our law says, our charter says. And so that's been the most difficult. When it comes to things that we haven't gotten far enough done, we've got, you know, so many priorities. I wish we were done with all of them. But, you know, I've been really pleased and excited about the amount of time we've been able to be proactive. It's really been cool to watch the, especially a lot of the roles that we sat and pondered over during the transition kind of come to life. And then to watch, as I said, the folks who have been in the cabinet for many years working with some of the new folks and really gelling and becoming a team. And if they're arguing, they're not doing it in front of me.
That's great. So, I have a question here. You mentioned Akron becoming a polymer city. What does that entail? What does that path look like for our city? And how does sustainability and climate change play a part in polymers?
Sure. So when it comes to being a polymer city, you know, because of our rubber city heritage, we have one of the greatest concentrations of polymer companies in the world. And so Brian's right there nodding. Brian's been working on it. Our industry cluster has really been building up over the last few years and connecting. But one of the big issues is that we don't necessarily have kind of the space or capacity to take ideas that might come out of research in that polymer science building and really transform them into kind of industry scale things that, you know, can really then become the products of the future, kind of like what happened with the rubber industry. And so this state and federal funding is actually for two different things, but a lot of it, we're partnering with the University of Akron to make sure we can actually scale that work. And then the other half is really looking at sustainability, because almost everything is polymers. I still can't quite define polymers, but almost everything around us is polymers. And if that's what we're producing, we have to figure out how to make that sustainable. And so, you know, we can continue building an industry that's not sustainable, or we can be at the leading edge of it, figuring out how to take this industry we already have and make it sustainable in the way that the global market is going to demand. So that's what that funding will be for. But it will also be for workforce development, because not every job is going to require a PhD in polymer science engineering. There's going to be lots of jobs that folks can get a certificate or, you know, some kind of credential coming out of high school or some college, whether it's Star State or the University of Akron or Kent State. And so we're really excited to partner on building that up, because again, this isn't something that we want to prioritize as an opportunity for just a few. This is something that we want to be kind of like the legacy of the rubber city. where everyone had some connection to their rubber city. This industry helped put food on the table for folks. And the more companies that are able to be created around polymers, the more supports that are needed for accountants, or for lawyers, or for all kinds of other industries. And so we really view this as creating a new set of industries to anchor the future of Akron.
Thank you. I'm going to bucket a couple of questions. So one is, could you kind of explain a bit of the difference between this new downtown CDC and the work of Downtown Akron Partnership? And also, what is your plans for change for downtown Akron for small businesses?
Absolutely. So when it comes to this downtown CDC, right, because I think some folks might say that we need some new thing, right? I think the gap that we have is Downtown Akron Partnership does an amazing job when it comes to programming, right? But it isn't necessarily the entity that buys and sells real estate. And so when we talk about real estate, we often then have the city or the county or another entity step in and often bear a lot of the risk and the responsibility. We can look at the Bowery District right here, and it takes a lot of equity to do that, right? But we can't, as a city, do that for our whole downtown. We simply do not have enough money, right? We've gotten the ball rolling in some places, but we need someone waking up every day thinking about that real estate market who's not in our city economic development office or our county or at another institution. And so the goal is to hire one person who can sit at the Downtown Akron Partnership or Development Finance Authority. We've been working with these partners to really build out what this will look like. And then let's build out their salary and their support for a couple of years. And then let's prove the concept. I'm not saying we need to hire 10 people tomorrow. I'm saying we need to get to a place where we're making the market work and then letting that market function instead of trying to create a market with public funding. That's not our job. I want the biggest contribution of the city of Akron to downtown to be safety. Right? I don't want us to have to develop each and every parcel of downtown Akron. And when it comes to small business, we know that our small businesses in downtown are hard hit by the 1-2 punch of the Main Street project and then COVID. We want to make sure we have better supports for them. We've approved in our budget $1 million, $750,000 for a new program that will support small businesses of all varieties across our city, particularly with a focus on Black-owned businesses, but open to all businesses. And we're going to be working with a number of partner organizations on that. But one thing we really want to look at is how do we fill in some of the gaps that are there when it comes to our downtown businesses, and really make sure that we're providing some of those common things that they need, right? So if they all need help with marketing support, and they all need help with some of that back office support, they don't all need an accountant, or they don't all need a social media manager. And so helping provide that support. And then looking at some of the ideas that are happening in Columbus, Mary Ginther, and Cincinnati, around how do we help prepare some of the, I don't know the exact terminology, Susie's going to get mad at me, but making sure that we have the space that's ready to be used. I think it's like white box space. And so, we have that, we can help with that build up, and then an entity can move forward and prove their concept, and we're not constantly trying to help them with their operating. But let's get them to a place where they can get started and then build out from there.
Thank you. So how do you know when the work that we're doing is successful? Like, how do you define that?
Absolutely. So, this is the place where data really matters, because we can talk about these issues all day, we can come up with new programs all day, but unless we really are measuring them, we are not going to get very far. And so one of the key priorities, something we're hard at work at, is taking those different buckets of work that I mentioned, safety, economic development, health, housing, the environment, education, and creating key performance indicators that we are going to use to measure that work. And then like we did with the 100-day tracker, we're going to be sharing that online and holding ourselves accountable. Kind of like United Way Summit Medina does with their bold goals. And this is why I view that data transparency role as so critical. But whether it's with that role or with existing capacity, we are going to make this focus. Because we absolutely absolutely have to be able to prove that the stuff we're investing in works. And if it's not working, we are okay acknowledging that and going in a different direction. But we have to be able to measure that, especially with a city that has so much data. The whole city, we'd all love to just pause the work that we're doing and just focus on collecting some of that data, looking at some of the information we're gathering and really getting it out there. We do that in bits and chunks, but we really need to prioritize the capacity to be able to do that. It will help us work a lot smarter.
Thank you. How do you see the arts community playing a role in moving Akron forward?
I think the arts is critical. You know, I'm the least artistic person in this room, but as we tried to show with some of the performances here today, we have amazing artists in our community of every age, in every corner in every neighborhood in our city. And so we want to lift up that work. I mean, something that's so key to Ken Moore's renewed vitality has been the arts and the first Fridays that have happened. Downtown really is a hub. We're sitting in the Akron Civic Theater, and downtown is really a hub for artistic experiences you can't have anywhere else, unless you're maybe going to drive for an hour to Cleveland. And frankly, I think that our stuff is better a lot of the time. And so, and so we are going to continue to prioritize that. We're going to continue to center our artist experiences. And the same thing I mentioned with small businesses also applies to a lot of our artists, a lot of sole source providers, or a lot of single entrepreneurs, right? Which is, how do we make sure that they have some of that back office stuff they need? How do we make sure that contract professionals have, some of the support they need around social media or another thing? And so we're going to be looking at how other cities, other communities prioritize that.
I love that. We're not reinventing the wheel. What is your greatest or biggest hope for Akron?
I want to see an Akron where people are hopeful. Akron is a city where a lot of times folks got their head down, they're kind of embarrassed and sheepish to say that we're from here, and we think that maybe our best days were behind us, or there's not a lot going on. I think all of us woke up on Monday and we were sure that it was going to be cloudy a little bit, because we just kind of expect that's what's going to happen. And I want us to be a city that's hopeful. We have so much good work that's being done all across this community. I look around this room, I could do a dissertation on the work of every single person in this room. I honestly could. That's why I wanted to work for this job. And I view it as the city's role to help convene, help coordinate, help be strategic around that. But I want to see a city, especially within the next few years, where folks are hopeful and excited about the future, where folks really believe that we can create that polymer city just like we created the rubber city 100 years ago, that our best days were behind us, that we can change. And so when we tried to make this speech really rooted in change, it's about showing people that a different way is possible. Your last question.
Yeah, this is the last question.
This is the hardball?
What are you reading right now?
Yeah. I really haven't had a chance to do that much reading.
It's a hardball question.
I've been watching a lot of TV. So, yeah. I've been watching Veep, because Veep is about a political system that you wake up every day and something crazy is going on, and that kind of helps me ground myself. Thank you. Thank you.
To conclude our program, let's enjoy a musical selection from the Firestone High School Choir.